The devil's in the details, right? The stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation, Satan.
That's actually what they call it.
Right. That's the acronym, Satan.
That's written in MIT.
They aren't even hiding it anymore.
They have denied things over the years. Oh, we don't have that science or that thing. And then 5 years later or 3 years later, dang, they're putting it in a press release that they really do have it.
The White House released a congressionally mandated report, and they're focusing on reducing or eliminating natural sunlight from reaching the Earth.
Geoengineering carries with it a tremendous range of uncertainties, ethical and political concerns, and the potential for catastrophic environmental side effects.
Reporting on this, like you guys are doing, it puts you in the crosshairs.
If you speak out about anything that is against the narrative,
you're in line to get your head cut off the guillotine.
Scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. This is nuts.
There's different nanoparticles everywhere, not only in the food, but in the water. It hides in the tissues. It builds up inside the nervous system.
This is a conspiracy theory. It's not something that sort of normal, rational people think is happening.
It's not a theory. Would you care to look at my data?
There has been testimony in front of the United Nations. There's also been testimony in front of the U.S. Congress. And I'm talking 15 and 20 years ago.
They know where it's coming from. I mean, he's a biologist. This stuff, it does not belong free form in the atmosphere. It's nano material. That's man-made.
Whatever's up there is going to come down on us, right? It's going to land on our water, going to land on our food. If we're going to say our food is organic, what about our sky?
Did the colonizer ask for permission to take our land? What makes anybody think that geoengineering is going to be a different story? This time, they are colonizing the sky.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, everybody, welcome. And here we have the amazing Ariana Victor. How are you, Ariana? It's been some time since our viewers may remember you from the trucker convoy.
Right. I think that was back in 2022, if I remember correctly. And I can't believe that it's been 4 years' time since that. And even back during the trucker convoy, this film was existing as footage in my hard drive that I had begun to run around our country collecting interviews from experts and just all sorts of things. So the seed had been planted back in 2020, and it's amazing just to see how far it's come. And I can't believe that was already 4 years ago. So I'm doing great, Polly. It's good to see you.
Now, what an amazing trailer. Now, at the beginning of the trailer, I didn't catch, so something about Satan, what was that about?
So in MIT research, they published an article that was talking about the stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation project that was being released in the UK. And the acronym for that is quite literally Satan. So, I mean, just the irony here, it's like a storybook. It's literally a movie and a screenplay. We have the Lord of Darkness, who is quite literally trying to block the sun. And Dr. Henry Ely even makes a joke in the film. He's like, they could at least rearrange the acronym. Can we at least call it Santa? So it's just shocking.
Ariana, this looks such important work, and we're so grateful for you covering geoengineering for our viewers as well, because I know we are passionate about this. But here's the thing, and I want to get in a minute also of why you are even in it in the first place. But here's the thing, 9 times out of 10, when you speak to a family member or someone you know, they say this is BS.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this topic for so many decades, not just years, I'm talking about 3 decades. People have been pointing up at the lines in the sky since the 1990s. Late 1990s was when people really began to see it. And especially it continued into the early 2000s. People were asking questions about the lines in the sky and these aerosol trails. And there was not information that exists out there like it is today about large-scale geoengineering, plans like solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection. These are all technologies that are being implemented and released and proposed across governments worldwide to protect us from climate change, right? And so that's admitted today, but back in the 90s, we didn't have this information in publicly available or through our universities or academic institutions or even our own governments. So when people would ask questions about the lines in the sky, they were immediately just dismissed into what was the chemtrail conspiracy theory. So because that became one of our most, I would say, popular conspiracy theories, kind of straight up there with flat Earth in terms of how it's been discredited. That's why, it's been so ingrained into the public consciousness of this just being loony. And so I think that continues over today. More and more people, I think, are starting to recognize, oh my goodness, this is legitimate, this is real, this is being proposed across governments and academic institutions and scientific bodies. So it's becoming, the truth is getting out there, and people are starting to open their eyes and ask more questions now that this is being legitimized.
And Ariana, why are you doing this? Because you're young, beautiful ladies, very talented editor and camera person. Why have you chosen this subject? Because I feel like, as you mentioned in that trailer, it is a dangerous thing to explore.
Right. My dad, who's actually on screen right there, would ask the same question of why are you touching this topic out of everything you could be making movies about? The truth is, Polly, I didn't want to touch this subject matter. I knew nothing about it. Back in 2017, my hometown was Santa Rosa, California, and that burned down in what was, I believe, the beginning of the anomalous, historical, record-breaking fires that have been hitting California ever since. So 2017, Santa Rosa, the Tubbs Fire was the most destructive fire in California history. At the time, I was in film school, and I knew nothing about this topic. I could feel in my gut that something was off, something was weird, something wasn't natural about these fires, and a lot of people could perceive that but didn't know what exactly to point their finger to. Was it arson? Something like that. Flash forward to 3 years later during the pandemic, and I'm witnessing the world crumble. My view of governments, my view of our scientific and academic institutions, my world was 180ing, at least my understanding of it, as I was kind of peeling back the layers of like truth versus fiction and sort of the government mandates and everything that was happening on the vaccine front. That was when, shortly after I started working for Children's Health Defense as a reporter, because I believe so strongly in the mission. But at the time, these topics weren't at the front of my consciousness or even awareness. And it was fire season again in October of 2020. And it reminded me of what had happened in 2017. So we were waiting on orders for a fire eviction, and something was happening where I was dehydrating myself. There was something in the water that I could sense that my body was maybe actively avoiding. I had remembered a video that I watched on YouTube back in the day of someone set up a time lapse of GMO seeds and non-GMO seeds, and they wanted to see what the birds did. The birds had actively avoided the GMO seeds, unconsciously, because they didn't know the difference, but there was something in the intelligence of these birds that without intellectually understanding that these are GMO seeds, they still were able to avoid them and completely ate all the non-GMO. And so in that moment, I remembered that video. And I asked the question, I said, there's something in this water that my body is actively avoiding that maybe I don't consciously understand yet. And no joke, it was like a vision from God. As soon as I asked that question, what is in this water? I saw the entire film lay out in front of my head, or in my head, I should say. And I knew in that moment that, oh my God, there's heavy metals in this water. It's aluminum, it's coming from the sky, it's getting in the water supply, it's getting in the soil, it's getting in the trees. And I saw the intensifying fires. And I saw myself traveling around the country asking questions. And again, I didn't know anything about this. And so the more that I began to research, I found, Geoengineering Watch with Dane Wigington. I found so many scientists and researchers who had been dismissed for so long. And that was when the fear kicked in for me, because I thought, hey, this is a very serious matter, and it has been blanketed as conspiracy theory. And, I wanted to turn away. And, I had Netflix dreams, I had Hollywood dreams, I went to one of the top film schools. The last thing I wanted to do was potentially destroy my career pursuing this topic. But every time I tried to walk away, more and more doors would open that kept pushing me in the direction of, this is your story to tell. And that's partly why I put myself in it, was because I recognized it was bigger than just geoengineering. It was about the courage it took to overcome that fear, to be a voice and to stand on the front lines and speaking up for what really matters in today's world. And geoengineering is, quite frankly, one of the most important topics because it does affect all of us. It affects planet Earth, and we're really at a critical point of awareness.